How's it going, guys? Here's a video for week 4 of phase 1 for Evo Hitting Academy. This week is under the theme of rhythm. So this kind of runs, or at least it can be interpreted as rhythm to be running synonymously with being on time. And it is. And what I kind of have to show here that just supplements the lesson that's shown here under hitting foundational concepts. It's just some video to kind of provide some examples. The only thing that I'm really going to point out here is just what's mentioned in the overview and the purpose that just identifies rhythm as a concept that could be paid a little bit of attention to, specifically just within your reps. It runs parallel with a lot of the other themes that were kind of mentioned here. But what it's defined as, it's either as a movement, a fluctuation, or a variation marked by whatever regular occurrence that's happening. So under the context of hitting here, it's a movement, fluctuation, or variation that is relative to what the pitcher is doing. When you're in your process of just identifying rhythm in general and how it can be used to do two pieces that are mentioned here, the ability to create peak speeds easier and just eliminating any bad tension that can be created. There's just kind of something to recognize, specifically within the objectives here, recognizing how much movement is necessary pre-swing to feel comfortable, how easy you can swing to hit the ball hard, and whatever your best thing is for your pre-swing rhythm, whatever it is the movement that you have to create to help get yourself on time and to put yourself in the best position. And a lot of examples, like what I'm going to show you here, it's matching movements to what the pitcher is doing. So that's a term that was mentioned over the getting on time or being on time lesson. One way that could describe it is how hitters are able to get on time twice, actually. Once with the arm in the motion of its delivery, but also on time with the ball as it's entering home plate. I got a little thing here that I just kind of wanted to show you. A second. It just kind of further dives into the example here. I'll try to move my screen out of the way so I'm not in anyone's way here. This here is Gary Sanchez, for example. Gary is someone that we'll just use for the first example here, just because his movements are the most visible. So the video on the left here shows what his bat tip and his leg kick would be on this particular swing. The one on the top right then kind of breaks it down a little bit more to further isolate the moves that he's creating before the ball is out of the pitcher's hand. And then on the bottom right, it definitely cuts it off a little shorter to show the moves that are happening even earlier. If you were to kind of like look at that from the video from the left to the top right to the bottom and then go backwards, I feel like this is just a good example of what being on time with the arm can look like, especially in these top two. These two videos are kind of just like enough to kind of suggest that he was certainly on time with this pitch. And yeah, this piece was a home run. And from creating what the words that I like to use specifically is just to gather before the ball is coming. This is just a good example of just utilizing rhythm. It can look like this, but it doesn't have to. Here's another example, a little bit on the opposite end, where Juan Soto is considered a little bit more of a tight mover, and he doesn't have such big movements like what you would get out of Gary Sanchez. And under further context, yes, this is with 2 strikes. One nice little detail that I would notice just within rhythm and how movement continues. From the video to the right here, you can kind of notice that as the ball is out of the pitcher's hand, you may notice the bat kind of lowering down behind his left shoulder. You can also kind of tell how the bat crosses the face of the fan that's sitting in the front row. And that bat crossing is that bat that's still movement that's still occurring, even when the ball's out of the pitcher's hand. This was a single down the right field line. And on these next frames, just goes into the other example of whatever cadence, whatever thing that's created to match the movement of the pitcher. And that's just kind of what you see under this example here, from the pitcher delivering to the ball to even backing it up a little more to when they start making their stride towards home plate, and what Juan Soto starts doing before that before the ball is even out of the pitcher's hand. Of course, what hitting video would be if you don't have the man himself, Albert Pujols. Here's him in his olden days playing for Anaheim, and there's actually kind of a really neat drill that Albert may or may not have been the inspiration of. If it were a drill to be where you do not aim to move at all until the ball's about halfway to home plate, and then you create the positions that help you get on plane and to hit the ball as well as you can. What Albert kind of does in his gather and how long he holds it also just shows a really good example of rhythm and what it can look like. Just going back to the word that's used as cadence. Whatever his preferences, his moves are, that put him in a good position. The video to the bottom right, I actually cut it specifically to where the bat is vertical in its last point before it starts working back. And you already notice how far the ball is. The ball is well out of the pitcher's hand. So rhythm is kind of something that continues and is part of the swing throughout the entire movement of the ball that's being delivered to home plate. Here's just a video of Pujols in his younger days. I like this one in particular because in every single frame at this angle, as the ball is getting closer to home plate, he's still creating his movement. There's still rhythm that's occurring. Sometimes being on time with the arm helps create that. Works well for a lot of hitters. And here's even an example of one of our hitters there at Evo Academy. From the top left, this was the first video that was recorded just with his assessment. And as part of his program, it's actually really introducing some rhythm here. The adaptations that have kind of been made just throughout the 4 weeks, as you notice, this player has done a little bit of a toe tap. And then this was just in the last session where there's a little bit more bat movement that's starting to be created. Some ranges that are kind of being found and discovered just within this motion. And what rhythm can kind of have, it just has a benefit just through practice and time. It allows you to create those peak speeds as easy as possible and really put yourself in a better hitting position. So, Andrew, I hope you like the shout out that I have you included in this video. I know with one group that was not delayed from Black Friday, or I'm sorry, from Thanksgiving, we have just one more week of some hitters. So half of you are getting the week 4 message after it happened, but then the other half of you are getting the week 4 message for your week 4. So anyway, the point being mentioned, this is just the last week for phase 1 of Hitting Academy. Phase 2 registration is open. That's going to be starting on December 6th. So make sure you guys sign up for that based off of the results that we've gotten. Players that attend these sessions or consistently attend the sessions, they seem to get the best results as all these things create time. In our next session, we're just going to have some new curriculum shown for you kids that will be included as part of your packets, but you got to register for those. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Thanks.